C9's top laner.
Thank you very much, Riv. Indeed, standing by with Impact after the second win in a row for C9 here. I know that you guys yesterday weren't really happy with the way you won. How do you reflect on your performance today?
그 어제 승리 이후에는 비록 이기셨지만 살짝 찝찝한 마음이 있다고 들었는데 오늘 승리에 대해서 어떻게 생각하시나요?
오늘 I think today is good play because we problem is I'm died so many, but just my mistake is team we move is macro is we object control everything. I think it's not it's I can't say good, but I think not bad today. So we 발전하고 있다고.
We're still improving.
Yeah.
Impact, the all-important question, how many times did you say top die today?
탑다일 몇 번 외치셨나요?
I did today. I didn't say. I'm just say white dive enemy and kill. And nice.
I can see that. Impact, I know that the game versus SKT was very important for you personally, but you guys really didn't get to show that much. What do you hope to prove in your rematch against them next week?
그 이번 주 SKT와 1경기 했을 때 정말 중요한 일전이었을 텐데 비록 아쉽게 패배했지만 다음 주에 있을 그 재대결에서는 어떻게 준비하실 생각이신가요?
I think we first match here is SKT. We problem is ban pick. We give up Syndra and we give up just mid pressure. So Jensen is hard to play game. But I think we next week we pick is ban pick, and I think we show is good play.
Some changes to the band pick, and we'll see a more competitive game versus SKT. Thank you very much, Impact. Congratulations, C9, second win in a row here at Worlds Dash. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Shocks. And I mean, we're standing here just flabbergasted at the day, but C9 here showing up, making all of the groups interesting at the end of the day. Let's try and dive into this one. Once again, I mean, we do get the Syndra secured for Jensen. He went kind of monstrous on it, at least in terms of a CS number, crested that 200 mark by 18 minutes. I mean, that's insanity in and of itself.
I mean, the champion is S tier for a good reason right now. Into the Vladimir, you still have pressure the entire time. Vlad just wants to survive, get to the late game, and try to outpace in the team fights. But C9 just managed to win top lane with a good roam, bot lane with a gank, and then just all business from there.
And we saw a different Jensen today than we saw on day one of the group stage. It was back to the skill shot dodging madman we saw in North America, where he trusts his ability to get out of difficult situations. And when he dodged every single Jhin bullet, yes, he popped Ghost, or when he flashed away from the Rex side to avoid the early gank, those are vintage Jensen moves from when he's a dominant NA mid laner.
And I think this shows exactly how good Cloud9 can be when they're confident in their individual play, because then it trickles over into the map play, and you see how methodical they can close games out. And even in some team fights, you're like, oh, this is about to go a little bit wrong, but it's like, oh, Impact still has Equalizer. He didn't burn it earlier. They're able to siege down the mid lane turret. So I really do think that a calm, composed Cloud9, when they are playing very good individually, actually makes them scarier as a macro team, because they play with much more, I guess, priority and enthusiasm at that stage of the game.
And if we're talking about individual play, we got to take a look at the 10-minute replay. 2-for-1 Impact in the top lane. This was, it wasn't top die, it was wide dive.
And this is one of the weaknesses, I would say, of the LPL region, is that if they fall behind, they try and make desperation plays. And flashing underneath a turret of a Rumble with Summoner Spell and Equalizer is definitely a desperation play, and Impact is good enough to make them pay for it.
Yeah, this is the second time today we saw top laners get kills in 1v2 situations. Just a wacky day, but I totally agree with you. An overextension by Aime and a great play by Impact.
Those are huge damage numbers across the board.
Well, I think this is what happens when you kind of draft like this. A lot of damage threats against a lot of tanks on Aime. And Aime is like a grinding team. They want to get nice and tanky. They want to take you to 50 minutes, and they want to grind you down till you make that mistake. But credit to Cloud9, because they were way too good for that. The mistake was just never forthcoming.
Yeah, and as Impact had mentioned, he wasn't very happy with the macro. He was saying it wasn't good, it was not bad, but as a game for contrasting what we saw yesterday, especially as establishing dominance over IMA and making sure that the top contenders for the group would be SKT, Flash Wolves, and themselves. I think this is a really nice showing for them that should give them the confidence that will allow them to really showcase what they say is like 80% of how as good as what TSM can be.
And Jat, talk to me about this player of the game. It's going to go to Smoothie on that Alistair this time around.
Yeah, Smoothie had so many good plays in the early game, and he was the one that really kicked off most of the lane advantages. Really crisp flash plays as far as his pulverize are going. And we've seen Alistair roams in the early game be really pivotal in this tournament. Smoothie was no different. He pulled it off exceptional.
And hats off to Reapit, because if any team is going to leave their AD carry one-on-one, it's going to be IMA, and recognizing that therefore you can pick up maybe a weaker laner, but a great roaming support like the Alistair, and Smoothie played it incredibly well. But I think that that is a tendency that, you know, is easily executed against IMA because they're not going to punish you for it.
All right, now let's talk about this group as a whole. We've got C9 and SKT now tied at the top 2-1. IMA and
Flash Wolves.
Flash Wolves, there you go, at the bottom 1 and 2. Going into next week, what do you make of this group? Who's going to have it? Or what kind of adjustments do you want to see made?
The only team that I don't think is really showing a lot right now is IMA. I'm not very impressed by their ability to just lane regularly and make actual outstanding, hey, this is a play that we're going to make and make a comeback. The only time was against the Flash Wolves that was unable to really close out a game, which, to be honest, they kind of defeated themselves. But everyone else seems like it's up for grabs.
Yeah, I think it's very up for grabs as far as it goes. I still feel like there's a small amount of logic we can use for the madness that's been in this group. SKT still looked the strongest throughout all 3 of their games there, 2-1. It's actually a group that's lining up for the pick'em that I had. We had SKT, C9, then Flash was in 3rd, and IMA in 4th.
Yeah, and one thing I will say, you know, just to throw a little bit of a spark onto the IMA fire, is this is a place they've been so often, and they've always come back and win. I don't think they're going to do it this time, but hey, I thought Team WE was going to be at Worlds as well, so who the heck knows what's going to happen.
All right, well, as we reach the end of our first week of Worlds 2016, let's review the razor-close standings in each group. In Group A, Albus, Nox, Luna, Counter Logic Gaming, and the Rocks Tigers all have 2-1 records. Group B's leaders are SKT and Cloud9. Edward Gaming and AHQ Esports Club hold the lead in Group C, and Group D has 3 teams with 2-1 records. Again, no team has gone without a loss so far. Now, the action continues here in San Francisco on Thursday for the final week of group stage matches. On Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, G2 Esports and Rocks Tigers take to the stage, followed by 5 more Group A matches. Group C is decided on Friday, Group D plays on Saturday, and Group B plays on Sunday. And if any ties remain after each group's scheduled matches, we'll play them out immediately following that day's games.
And 6-3 for North America, Chad.
Woo!
That has never happened before,
Man,
surely.
I
It ain't
clearly
so.
can't remember that did not happen in 2015. It did. And it was 6-3 last year in 2015. And then they lost more games than were scheduled for the next week. They went
true.
0-10. So hopefully we can see some improvement. I'm super happy that NA was able to do the 6-3 again this way, and I think a much more controlled fashion with some more impressive victories. So they also remember 0-10. I think it's hard to forget something like that, and I don't think it's going to happen again.
While I'm happy that NA has actually gotten on the board, I'm really stoked to see that Korea is not just bleeding. They feel pretty bruised right now. They have been taken down. They have been really shown the ropes about the global meta and exactly what it means to try to play against these other regions and understand the priorities that other guys have and how they play the game, and they paid for it dearly.
And, you know, there are a couple of regions that we had big question marks. LPL and the macro play, whilst they don't look very clean at the moment, you can see that at least they can battle, well, EDG at least, on some level of that. They do need to pick it up for week 2. But I think it's the wildcard regions and, you know, the CB LOL and LCL, respectively, that have really come out this week and surprised people because their gameplay, especially when the game gets delayed, has been impressive because they've been able to close team out and stick to their game plans. And that's good discipline play out of very new teams.
Yeah, and the other thing I can't wait for as far as the next week of group stage goes is the format changes quite a bit, actually. Every team will now play 3 games on the day, and it's much more like playing a series, even though you're against different teams. You have to make rapid iteration instead of having a day or 2 to try and read things. Not to mention, everyone was hiding their strategies in secret. This week, we got to see them all out on the stage. So there are a lot more tweaks you can make in the week off, and the results could actually completely change.
Yeah, and to add to that, the cool thing is the fact that you actually get to change your own little meta by games of other people that are playing. Just based on, let's say that you're CLG playing against Rux and you see G2 against Albus Nox, whatever they're playing, you're going to implement that into your own play style as well and try to develop that own little meta, even though it's not your own game. And I think that's such a cool element to see in these best of ones.
I mean, a lot of information surfaced here over the last 4 days. Dare I say the most exciting Worlds group stage week 1 yet?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like,
all right, I got
groups.
permission to say it, so that's what I'm going to say. That's going to do it for week 1 of the 2016 Worlds Group Stage here at the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium. But stay tuned because Shox, Kobe, and Atlas will recap the day's action in an all-new Worlds tonight. Now for myself, the casters, the analysts, and the entire live production crew, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week as the fight for the Summoners Cup continues.